Every time I think I've finished cleaning up all the elms, I find another tray. And here are 3 from a tray of about 20 that I have to go through. I will not subject you to the entire tray, but just a couple of these. So let's take a look at the one I neglected the most. I don't even remember putting wire on this, but I must have, unless one of my students did it. Roots look good. I don't know. Oh, maybe a hint of root mealybug there. Another hint there. So we'll have to get Mr. Spray Guy in here. So let's see. What do we have going on here? Catch you later.
Yep, have a good one.
That was my landlord finishing up whatever maintenance he was doing today. Maintenance is never ending. Never ending. So, you can see I wired this. Looks like I was headed towards the Peter Adams fast trunk method with a shortcut by taking existing branches instead of cutting the entire trunk down to 2 buds. Well, 2 buds that are in a spot that you want. So, tease these out, find my surface roots. See if my initial vision, which I don't even remember, is going to be workable, or if I'm going to have to start all over. I think I'm going to be able to work with it. May have a little extra root than I need. I have a lot of extra root than I don't need. Then I need. One of those is an English phrase that will make sense to you. Again, don't do what I just did. Good way to ruin your $80 tool on a free piece of stone. Really don't want to do that. So, this is one of those rare instances where I was going right to left. I like where those roots are. I'll need to straighten that up. I don't know what I'm going to do about that jog, but it'll probably grow out over time. If not, it will become a design feature. When you have a flaw and you can't hide it, you have to turn it into a feature. Now, I don't want that piece so low, and while it might make a good thickener for the trunk, it is not going to be pretty to have a scar there, so I'll cut that off early so there's a chance to grow out. Now, this tree was wired counterclockwise originally, so I think I'm going to go clockwise this time and get it to put those branches where I want. So I'm going to be super diligent today. Ordinarily I'm too lazy to do this. Then I'm going to clean up that scar. I don't get worked up about wound sealant. I have found it is unnecessary. It doesn't seem to hurt unless you seal in some really big cuts with a lot of moisture, and then you can rot the tree. And if that's what you're trying to do, then you're on track. Don't need that one. We'll see what happens with that little jog there. Now I want that branch as my number one branch, I'm going to want one of these two, preferably this one, to be my back branch. And then I'm going to use the heavier wire on what will be a branch towards the apex here. Hopefully I won't snap it away from the trunk line, and then we'll put a thinner wire Alright, so that'll be my number one, that'll be my back branch. Bring this around. That is my number two, my other front branch. So far I haven't snapped it off the trunk, which makes me relatively happy. Now I'm going to do one more zigzag up top with thinner wire. I'm not going to touch that one. I like where he is. I'm going to follow the existing wire, come out, and we'll see how many layers I can get. So my first branch, the distance from the surface of the root to the first branch should be greater than the distance to the next branch and the back branch. Now we'll zigzag back. Here's where I'm most likely to split, so I want to support the tree. Now, do I want to finish the tree up here, or I want to finish it down here? I want to finish it down here. So, that being said, I've got another bud to the back, and I've got two here that I could use for another layer, or I could go up here for yet another layer, and then bring it back on itself. So bring that around. I can train this down as a back branch. Alright, so zag left, zig right, zag left, need to zig right. I could use that, but I'm going to go with that one. I always like to have backups because you never know what's going to happen. Sometimes your helpers knock things off shelves, sometimes you are neglectful, you forget to water them, sometimes you take them out in the cold and you kill off the top of your tree. So if there's a mistake to be made, I've probably made them, and if not, I'll invent some new ones. Alright, so basically I have the skeleton in place for this tree. So what I need to do now is flesh it out and decide who needs to thicken and who needs to ramify. So what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for thickening on this bottom branch. I don't want any more thickening on this one until that one gets ahead of it. So I'm going to limit the leaf load on the top one, hoping that I can keep them in balance so that this one doesn't fatten up faster than this one. Back branch, I don't need that back branch, but I'm keeping two potential back branches. That one's not going to be anything. So now it's a matter of picking a container. I don't want to go too big too quickly, because then I'll end up with roots that are just running around in circles. So this is a 6-inch bulb pan, which I think is just too constricting for it. This should be an 8-inch mum pot. Oh, what is it in centimeters? 2.78 quarts, or 2.63 liters. I really wish I spoke more metric, because a 2-quart pot, two and 3/4, 2.78 quarts. That's just short of 3 quarts, which means it's well less than a gallon. So I don't think I have to worry about it's going too crazy, and I won't make the soil super deep, but I will go looking for any lumps of my mix, incorporate them in. Alright, so I want to go with a mound planting. Now I've got this wire here. I'm going to point him down, use him to help stabilize the tree over the mound. Probably not going to make a big difference, but I do it anyway. A lot of things you do because they make you feel better, and whether or not they actually make a difference is open to debate. My instructor used to say, if it doesn't hurt, go for it. And one of these days I'll tell you his favorite joke about the actor and the enema. Okay, so we're in. Now, since this does not have a huge amount of roots holding it in, what I think I'm going to do is take one of my dollar store. See, now that looks almost the same length as the one below it. So if I measure that, it's actually longer. So I'm going to change my mind, and I'm going to make that little tiny bud the new apex. So let's see if I have a better progression. So from the soil to the first branch, from the first branch to the second branch, and from the second branch to the third branch. Probably could go even shorter, but I can always cut it. I just may end up cutting it right there, but I'm not sure I want to do that this second. Looking at the back buds here, potential branch there, trunk line there. Let's be brave. Let's see what happens. Now, while I know this doesn't look like anything right now, in a few weeks, this thing will be full of leaves, and then in a couple seasons I'll have lots of ramification. In the meantime, I'm going to take out one of my handy dandy dollar store bamboo skewers, place it on the edge of the container so that if something goes wrong, and I bump into it or somebody hits it. The aisles are kind of tight in the greenhouse here. It should help prevent it from flying out of the pot. And that's my foam covered tomato wire to hold it in place. Going to have the apex inclined towards the viewer. That's a back branch. Going to be super important. That's a back branch. Going to be very important. Not sure you guys can see these on the camera, so that's a back branch, that's a back branch, that's useless. So, who knows, I may end up getting rid of all of that also. Not much more to do on this. Gonna give it just a hint of